Good morning and welcome to Wednesday's planning webinar. Today's topic is cash flow is king, where we're going to discuss strategies to plan, manage, and control your cash. For those who don't know me, my name is Coach Tim Campsell, and I'd like to welcome you to this morning's webinar. Being in business is a tough gig sometimes. It's one of the loneliest jobs there is. So I want to first thank you for watching this webinar to find ways to improve your business. So many of us have made mistakes in our life, and some of us could say we're experts at making mistakes. In fact, that's what I would do. I'd raise both of my hands and maybe even my foot if somebody was to ask me if I was an expert at making a mistake. But here's the thing about mistakes. We learn to walk by falling down, right? We made lots of mistakes, but we were given encouragement and support and help. So to us, it didn't feel like it was a mistake. It felt like it was exactly what we were supposed to do. So then what happens when we become adults? We're taught that we can't fail, right? We stop putting ourselves out there. So I guarantee you'll learn specific steps, ideas, and strategies to help stop making mistakes in your business and be a better business leader. But here's the catch. You must choose to put yourself out there and take action. If you simply sit and listen to this webinar, you'll absorb about 7% of the information. If you take notes, that goes up to 50%. And if you fully participate, take notes, writing in color, so you're using both your left and your right hand side of your brain. If you play along by raising your hand or asking questions or typing in the chat box, that retention will jump up to 98%. So the only failure is the failure to what? Call that out for me? Yeah, the failure to participate. So if you give 100%, you'll get 100%. And at the end of this webinar, I'm going to ask you to take action, and I'm going to present you with an offer that you're going to want to take advantage of. So can I get everyone's commitment that you're going to participate and take action today? Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, so a little bit about me and my background. I was born and raised in Canada and moved to the US in 2005. So you're going to hear some words or some pronunciations from me that don't seem right, don't sound right to you, but I guarantee in my head they sound perfectly correct. I started working at the age of 15 running a gas station where I opened the store on the weekends at 6 a.m. while the owner slept in. Then for the past 28 years, I've had a very successful career of managing businesses and coaching teams within corporations. I've worked on brands like Kentucky Fried Chicken, Raid, Off, Ziploc, Saran Wrap, Edge and Skintimate Shave Gel, Scrubbing Bubbles, Pledge, Fantastic, Sargento Cheese, and Red Gold Tomatoes. And these businesses ranged anywhere from 1.5 million in revenue up to 500 million. In that same time, I coached, trained, taught, and mentored well over 200 people. It's very fulfilling to see someone I've invested into grow and develop into someone that can do my job even better than I can do it. People I've coached have gone on to become vice presidents, presidents, and CEOs of corporations both here and in Canada. I chose Action Coach because I believe it's the best option to help me realize my vision, which is no business owner in the greater Indy area would be without a coach. They would not feel isolated, frustrated, or hopeless. Instead, they would invest in allowing me to take them on an incredible journey of building their business so they can use the profits from the business to enable them to realize their personal life goals. A little bit about Action Coach. It is privately owned and founded by Brad Sugars, who is currently the CEO. He is an entrepreneur as well as an author. The vision of Action Coach is world abundance through business re-education. What that means is many business owners aren't running their business well. They don't understand the best practices of running a business. So those who take the steps to learn how to run a business well, to re-educate themselves on business ownership, really the sky is the limit for them because they're going to so significantly differentiate themselves from their competitors, and that's where the world abundance idea comes in. We coach over 15,000 businesses each week around the world. Action Coach is the #1 business coaching firm in the world. Here's a number of accolades. And we have 1,000 offices in 80 countries around the world. And here's just an illustration of those offices. Okay, so before we get into the meat of the program, I always like to ask folks to think about what their #1 learning goal is for this webinar and to write it down for yourself. So go ahead and do that. And while you're doing that, I'm going to continue to talk in terms of why I'm having you do that. So by writing down your goal, you've actually triggered what's called your reticular activating system. How many have had this experience where you've bought a new car or a new used car, and as you were driving around the week afterwards, you started to notice that everyone seems to be driving the same car around you on the road? Well, it's not the fact that everyone has the same car. It's that your reticular activating system was triggered, or your RAS for short, and it is starting to notice it. So your RAS is the part of your brainstem that controls your level of consciousness. So by you purchasing that car, you've told your RAS that that's important to you. So now it's starting to look for what you told it's important, and that's why it's noticing that same car all around you. It's incredibly powerful. Our subconscious spends all day working in the background to achieve the things that we tell it that are important. So when we set goals, we give our subconscious specific direction on what to work on for us. Have you ever had an experience where you couldn't solve a problem all day, but after a good night's sleep, the answer just seems to come to you in the morning? Well, that's your reticular activating system working on your behalf. So setting goals is critical in all that we do. As a business owner, to be successful, at a minimum, you should have yearly goals, quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily, so that you're setting your RAS and it can be working on your behalf. It's really the compass of your brain, and allows you to set the direction that you want your business to go in, and then your RAS works on your behalf. So how many people have heard the saying, if at first you don't succeed, try again? Most people say they will try, but you can't try. You either do it or you don't. Trying's not an action. You can't try. So we call this idea of doing or not doing the point of power. And you're either below the point or you're above the point. So folks that are below the point of power find themselves in the proverbial bed of life, BED. And bed stands for blame, excuses, and denial. Right? The folks who are in bed, they'll find anyone to blame for what's going on in their life, right? They'll blame the government, they'll blame their mother-in-law, their staff, their competition. Right now, during the COVID-19 crisis, they're blaming the crisis, they're blaming the economy, they're blaming the government for shutting down the economy. Well, those people are going to put their head in the sand and just wait until everything gets back to normal, and they're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities, right? Folks who make excuses, folks who deny, right? They're giving away their power to others or to circumstances. On the other hand, people who are above the point of power, take their oar of life, right? And they chart their own course by taking ownership, accountability, and responsibility. So this is a daily choice that we all have. We can either choose to be powerless, right, and be in bed, or we can be powerful and take our oar of life. It is a daily choice, and there's going to be times that we go through our own emotional roller coaster and we find ourselves in that proverbial bed, right? And then we have to figure out a way to boost ourselves back out of that and take our oar and become powerful. Right? So there's two types of businesses. One's where the business is driving the business owner, with them having their hand in all the day-to-day activities. All decisions need to be made by them. No one can do the job as well as them, and they're working 60, 70, or 80 hours a week. The other type is where the business owner is driving the business. They have a team that takes care of the day-to-day, and things run very smoothly. The owner is able to duck out early to see their kids in a school activity, or have 4-day weekends, or take 2 weeks off for vacation without worry. So your business is either driving you or you're driving your business. How many folks have know somebody who used to run a business but went back to working in a job because they got burnt out? Well, unfortunately, most business owners have actually really only bought themselves a job. And in this job, they're working more hours and making less money than when they worked for someone else. So over time, this leads to burnout. And there are too many businesses that go out of business. In fact, the numbers are about 80%. So the thing that we all need to look at is the formula for change. So if we are running a business and we're not happy with the situation, we need to start to understand why we're not changing. So the formula for change is D times V plus F has to be greater than R. So our dissatisfaction with our current situation times a vision of what a better tomorrow could be, plus the first steps in getting there, needs to be greater than our resistance to change. Right? We're all creatures of habit. We prefer our comfort zone. We don't like change. And so if we're finding ourselves not changing, then we want to reflect on this formula to understand what it is that's not big enough to prevent us to change. Are we really not that dissatisfied with our current situation? And maybe we need to explore that a little more and become more dissatisfied. Maybe it's that we don't have a big enough vision of what a better tomorrow could be, or maybe it's simply that we don't know what the first steps to take are. So I want to thank you all for watching this webinar because you're taking a first step in order to change. At Action Coach, we define a business very differently than most. To us, it's not about buying ourselves a job. It's about becoming a business owner of a successful business. And a successful business we define as a commercial profitable enterprise that works without you, the business owner. So let's dig into that a little bit more. We have a methodology to build this successful business called the 6 steps, and I'll walk through those now. Step 1 is mastery. What is mastery? Well, how do we know when we are a master at something? Well, someone comes and asks us to teach them how to do it. Here's the problem. When people start a business, are they a master at running a business? No, they're a master at carpentry or baking or engineering or a master at being an accountant or a lawyer or whatever. So instead, you need to become a master at running a business. Step 2 is niche or niche, however you want to pronounce it. How do you know that you don't have a niche in the marketplace? It's because you compete on price. The day you compete on price, you do not have a niche. This is all about marketing to bring in a predictable cash flow. Step 3 is leverage. The key to leverage in business is systems. So we will all be responsible for systematizing the company. This will buy us back our time. Step 4 is team. Then we build synergy into our organization where we've got a well-oiled machine, and ultimately we reach massive results where the business is running without us and we can start to use that passive income to invest in another business, or we can even sell our business. So today I'm going to talk about a topic within mastery. Right? So back to our definition, mastery is about a commercial profitable enterprise. And today's topic is money mastery. And within money mastery specifically, we're going to talk about cash flow. 3 areas that we're going to focus on today is budget versus profit and loss versus cash flow, how to create a cash flow projection template, and cash flow strategies. So first, let's start with a definition of a budget. It's a plan of what you expect to happen or what you're projecting to happen over the next 12 months of your business. So a profit and loss statement of what you're looking to accomplish in your business over the next 12 months. Generally speaking, we use history as a guide to start to populate our budget or our projected profit and loss over the next 12 months. But then on top of history, we add in anything that we know is going to change from the past. We may have a big sale that coming up this year that we didn't have last year, so we're going to want to put that into our budget. Okay. Profit and loss statement is then the what happened, right? And so on a monthly basis, we are then tracking the sales and expenses within our business, and it's history. It's looking backwards, right? In terms of things like what did you sell, what was spent, right? And generally, it's on a specific period of time. So it may be monthly, it may be yearly, it may be quarterly. And here's an example of one I pulled from the internet, and it looks like it's actually from Europe because it's got a pound sign instead of dollar sign. This is profit and loss for year ending March 31st. So you can see that sales are at the top and expenses are at the bottom, and then there's an overall profit and loss. So again, this is historic looking backwards, where the budget was a look forward in terms of what you're projecting. Okay. Now, cash flow statements are a little different than a profit and loss because it's simply looking at the cash coming into your business versus the cash going out. Now, a cash flow statement, again, is a historic view or a point in time view. So this example is a year ending December 31st, 2017. Right, so you can see at the top, it's all the different cash that was coming into the business. And then at the bottom is the cash that's coming out of the business. And a total there, cash flow of 1.5 million. Okay. Now, how do you create a cash flow template? So here is a cash flow projection, right, that we're looking at over the next 12 weeks in this case. So you can do a cash flow statement or projection on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. And what you're looking for here is at the top, again, it's the cash in, at the bottom is the cash out. And then you have a total at the bottom where you see in this example, week one, the cumulative is $740. Right? But if you look at the net line in week three, it shows that the business is actually short $8,400. And so you can start to look out on your cash flow projections and think about, oh, well, in week 3, 4, and 5, I am actually, I have a negative cash flow. And if you look at the cumulative at the bottom, you can see in week 4, you actually are out of cash. You're short by $2,000. So by looking out into the future, you can now be proactive because you're going to have a problem in week 4. You can't cover that $2,000. And then you can see again in week 5, you also have a problem of being short or not having $3,000. But if you look at week 6, you actually have brought in a positive 39,000, and so you're more than able to make up the shortfall in week 4 and 5. So you're going to want to figure out ways to solve for week 4 and 5. Maybe you don't pay some of those expenses in week 4 and 5, and you wait to pay it in week 6. And you reach out now to some of your vendors to see whether they would allow you to delay your payment for a couple weeks so that you're able to solve your cash flow problem. Now, here I'm going to go through a few different strategies on how to actually improve your cash flow. So from a short-term standpoint, you can delay or defer payments, as I just talked about on the last example. Right? If you reach out to your vendors or your suppliers and negotiate with them, many will be open to allowing you to delay or defer your payments if you explain why and you give them a hard date on when you're going to be able to pay. From a mortgage standpoint or rent standpoint, you can reach out to your mortgage company or your landlord and ask to defer those payments. You can negotiate with suppliers to get better terms on your payments. You can defer your bonuses or dividend payouts if you're currently doing that in your business today. You can definitely defer discretionary projects or capital expenditures. If there's things that you were planning to spend on during this downtime, you may just want to push it out until the economy opens back up and you get back to a healthy cash flow. If you have assets on inventory in inventory that are in surplus, look at ways of selling those and getting rid of them. You can definitely look at increasing sales. Right? So absolutely right now in this downtime, we should be marketing and we should be selling right? And make sure that we've got our message out in the marketplace and we're taking advantage of the opportunities. Many folks have put their head in the sand and are waiting for the crisis to end. So it's an absolute opportunity for us to be marketing and selling our business. Can be asking for cash up front to protect ourselves from companies who may be short on cash and not be able to pay. We can look at refinancing, and then absolutely be taking advantage of any government programs, the EDIL or the PPP loans. Make sure that that we've got ourselves in the queue and we're taking advantage of those. Now, on an ongoing basis, we can look at things like improving our system for billing and collections. Right? Make sure that we have clearly defined our terms and that we're sticking to it. That we don't let people off the hook. Right? Maybe we even look at a collection agency, right, to ensure that we're getting those payments. Right? How are you going to collect payment? Right? Make sure that you're offering different payment options so that everyone that wants to deal with you is able to do that. So things like ACH or credit card or check and obviously cash. Right? Set up in your contracts a payment or a penalty for late payment, and then actually follow through with it and charge that penalty. Right? What you don't want to do is not follow through, and then you're teaching your customers or your clients that you're actually not going to charge them. So then there's an incentive for them not to pay on time. You want to review the payment performance of all of your customers and understand who are your A customers versus who are your D customers. Right? And then look at those D customers and dig in a little deeper and determine if maybe they're not customers that you want to keep long term because of the fact that they're more pain than they are worth. Look at ways of establishing a system for credit reviews and collection processes. Be more selective if you are extending credit to folks, and overall reduce the amount of time that you're giving that credit. Right? Pull back the number of days that they're able to wait before paying you. So those are just a few tips on how to improve your overall cash flow. And now I'm going to transition into the formula for life success. It's B times do equals have. So there are things that we all want to have in life. We have dreams, we have goals, we have projects or trips or just things that we want to have out of life. Right? And in order to have those things, we need to do certain things in our business. The business needs to be able to provide for us to be able to purchase those things that we want to have out of life. However, in order to be able to do those things, we need to become the type of business owner that's able to do the things required in our business to have the things that we want out of life. So most people focus on do, and they say, well, I just need to work harder. I need to do more. Right? I just need to take it all on myself and be able to accomplish more and do it all. Right? But the problem with that is we all have a limited amount of time in the day. Right? Time is not infinite. And so there's only so much capacity we can take on. There's only so much we can do. And so if we're only focused on doing, we're going to hit a plateau. So instead, focus on who you are as a person, as a business leader. Who are you becoming? Who do you need to be as a business leader to be able to recruit and retain exceptional employees? Who do you need to be in order to implement systems and processes and procedures in your organization so that it runs more efficiently and effectively? Who do you need to be in order to develop a strategic plan and rally the troops to all be working towards that strategic plan? So you should be focusing about 80% of your time on becoming the business leader that's required to be able to do the things needed to make your business successful. The biggest risk, and I alluded to this earlier, the biggest risk you can take is to do nothing. Those folks who are in the proverbial bed of life, who have ducked their head in the sand and are saying, I'm just going to wait until this crisis is over are going to suffer and are going to come out of this in a much worse place than those who are being proactive and are taking action and are moving forward on their business. If you would like help with any of what I've talked through today, if you want massive results and you're ready to do whatever it takes, I have a special offer for you. As a thank you for watching this webinar, everyone can have a complimentary coaching session with me valued at $1,500. I have a limited number of these sessions that I offer each month, so if you're ready to take your business to the next level, you'll want to get on this right away. This will start with a brief questionnaire, then we'll meet for 2 hours to do a deep dive into your business to show how our methods will help you and help you determine if coaching is right for you. And then if we agree that it makes sense, I'll ask you to make a decision on which coaching program is right for you. Look, my passion is growing businesses and coaching business leaders, so I guarantee that you'll walk out of this coaching session with at least one strategy to implement in your business right away, even if you decide that coaching's not for you. So if you want to take advantage of this, please email me and we'll set up some time. Got a couple of upcoming events that I want to share with everyone. First is on Friday, we've got the honor of having a webinar for the Midwest region by the world's #1 business coach, Brad Sugars, our founder. The Entrepreneur magazine has labeled him as the world's #1 business coach. And he's going to be doing a webinar on 7 steps to thrive now and dominate when the economy rebounds on Friday, May 1st at 1:30 to 3. And you can register on the link that's here on the screen. And then on every Wednesday, I do these educational webinars, and the topic for next week is how to lead your team through the crisis. Our Survive and Thrive educational webinars are 9:30 to 11 every Wednesday. And again, there's the registration link that you can go ahead and sign up for. So I want to thank you all for watching this webinar. And now it's time to get into action. So I want you to write down the #1 action that you're going to take from this learning today, and then put a process into place to make sure that you are holding yourself accountable to executing against that action. Thank you so much, and have yourself a wonderful day. Take care.